Hey, gang, hang one tight. We're working on a. Say something, Reggie. Oh, move that mic down. Sorry.
Let me move this one down.
Yeah, that's for you.
You can hear me correctly?
Yep.
Loud and clear?
And you're not hearing yourself, right?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Oh, actually, let's get rid of the overlay. Breaking news, we've got our first in-studio guest, special edition of the Doggy Traders today. I can actually put the phone down, probably. Special edition of the Doggy Traders today. I got to do, hopefully that does it. Come on, focus. There we go. Special edition of the Doggy Traders. We've got one of the team leaders from the European team that I'm on, Reggie Romano, in with us today. We're going to be talking to him. I got up to do some trading today, but missed one of the really big setups on the DST4. So no trades today, but it's time to enjoy a weekend. Finally, talk about lifestyle stuff. I'm not cashing out any profits from trading right now. So for having adopted a son in the past year, I have been tapping into a retirement savings that I should not be tapping into. We got word yesterday that will now come to a close. Zach is being funded to live with me, and that's going to be a huge chunk of bills every month. So, we talk often about multiple streams of income. That's going to be one of them, official. So let's cut to the chase. Let's bring in. I got a boatload of questions, and I think even they still, yes, we all have other hobbies too. After this guy to my right is going to the gym with me, to one of our sponsors. Throw that up there so before we block his face with it. There we go. We are headed to this place right here, Monster Mouse Fitness. And then this crazy nut is, I remember when I was doing these, he's going to do 2-a-days today. He's going back to Gold's Gym back down in Tampa on his way back to his place where he's staying right now in Sarasota. So let's welcome Reggie Romano. Matt, welcome. It's the first in-studio guest.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making the drive. There we go.
Of course.
We are live at Doggy Traders, anywhere you want to be.
Awesome.
We have begun, so I think I can take that thing down. There we go. That's Reggie. Welcome. It's coffee time. If you saw on the thumbnail that we created to advertise for this, we both have. We're both on cup number 2. I've been hanging some of the things in the room next door. Sorry, gang, got to take a sip. I've been hanging some things in the room next door till Reggie got here. As many of you know, I've retired happily from the Secret Service, and I've been here over a year, and I still haven't hung all of the cool things from my career, so I was doing that. Then gave Reggie the tour. We got some BSing out of the way. And now, time for some more BSing, as I hear about this guy's life, and part of our series where many of you know Lars Vandergraaf. He joined us a couple months ago. He's actually been a couple times already. And what we do is I just want to see what brings all of us into the markets and to the trading table, and what fascinates us, what attracts us to the world of day trading. So, Reggie, say hello.
What's up, gang?
Your start. What? First of all, I think I already know we're obviously Facebook friends, but you're like 28, 29 right now.
28 on the dot.
How long you been trading for?
I've been trading since the beginning of 2020, so almost 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit longer than me as far as when we talked about that. I joined IML in mid 2020, but didn't start trading till January 2021. So you got about a good year on me. What got you into it? Why day trading, and why not a newspaper route or some other source of income?
Well, actually, I started with in e-commerce actually 6 years ago, and I got through it with a friend I met at the gym. Like, he was doing pretty good within e-commerce. Saw him going from a small Toyota to a Ferrari, a Lambo, and I was like, damn. Like, I used to work as a constructioner, and they were never gonna pay me enough to drive in an actual Ferrari.
Right.
So I just went up.
I'm from a family of construction people, so I know exactly what that's like.
Exactly. So I just went up to him in the gym and I like, what is it that you do? Because I see you driving those fancy cars and I work my butt off for 70 hours a week and I'm not even close to getting a Ferrari.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to an online business called dropshipping. So I've been dropshipping for a couple of years. Did quite well until I met a friend of mine at an actual fitness competition. And he saw me doing an online business and he just kept stalking me like, bro, I see you doing an online business, but I got something else for you. Like, you can actually start making your money work for you. And I was quite skeptical. So I was like, yeah, I'm already doing some kind of business, so I'm fine. But I was making money within dropshipping, but the money was like vaping away. Like, of course, you got inflation, and I had no clue what to do with it. So when you spend it, it's gone. And I was like, you know what, bro? After 3 months stalking me, it got quite annoying. But I was like, you know what? Show me what you got. And he actually introduced me to the financial markets within Forex, within stocks, within crypto. And he told me a quote, and the quote was from Warren Buffett. And he actually said, like, if you don't figure out a way to let money work for you, you'll be working for money until you're either dead or retired. And that got me thinking, like,
Yeah.
that's right. I got to figure out a way to let money work for me to actually chase my dreams. Because at that time, I had no clue what I was actually chasing. I was just in for the money and it was money only. And of course, we want to travel. We want to do the luxury stuff. But that's actually how I got into trading. Just through a friend, introduced me to the financial markets. And he just hit me with a quote. And that was the quote, like, all right, I got to figure out something how to make money work for me. And that's actually how I rolled into IML and started my journey to become a trader.
So are you at a level yet where your trading is to a point where you're cashing out monthly or quarterly and you're paying yourself yet?
I'm at a point I can cash out, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, I'm not buying anything. I'm just trying to actually just pouring on money into my trading account. But whenever I need it, I can just withdraw. But at the point, I'm just leaving my money in there. I don't.
So when you say pouring money in, you mean you're just profiting from trades and leaving it there, or are you having to redeposit because you get a little crazy and you screw up?
No, just leaving my money, the profits in my trading account, and I got other streams of income as well. And whenever I always try to pour in like 30-40% of my other residuals into my trading account, so it just keeps on growing.
Right. Nice. Yeah, cool. So you mentioned the other streams of income. Are these time consuming? Like, I know people that run different businesses. They're never home. Now here you are halfway across, or all the way across an ocean, halfway around the world for, whatever it was, 2 or 3 weeks before you head back. And before we went on the air, you said you're coming back next month. So obviously these are jobs that you can do remotely because you can't just let it sit. What kind of overhead do you have? Like, do you have any employees that also work for you? Or is this just more, management that you do on your own?
It's mostly just on my own. All I actually need is just a laptop and Wi-Fi, and I'm actually good to go. I got, of course...
I mean, I get that for the trading, but, the other streams, the same thing?
The other streams are actually online as well.
Yeah, nice.
So I got some coachings. I got some within the fitness. I coach them as well. I just do posting as well through videos. I got my network marketing business as well. So I got multiple streams that I could do online as well.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, we'll talk about the posing and competitions in a minute. I saw from I got one of them up. Are you still competing at all?
At the moment, no, but I'm thinking about competing maybe in the next year or 2 years. I want to
So
hit those
in
stage
one of the
backpoints.
competitions, you got seventh. Was it like 2018 or something like that? In like
Yeah, I got in 2018. It was actually at the World Championships, and I competed in 2 categories, and I got seventh out of the juniors bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And it was a lineup of I think 15, 16 kids, well, teenagers, and I also competed at the Classic Physique Juniors, and I actually managed to get third
Okay,
of the
nice.
World Championships
Nice.
over there as well.
Yeah, one of the I gotta load them all up. But here's the badass that I'm going to be working out with later today. This is just what I stole from your Facebook. Oh shit! Hold on. This is why I need a producer. There we go. So here's what this dude looks like on stage. That's one rip son of a bitch right there.
Good old times.
And then another one, and then that I can tell you're more bulking in that picture than in the competition in the others, right?
This was the bulking phase, exactly.
Yeah. So I know weightlifters, and I know the concept of bulking, and essentially, for those of you at home, trying to figure out, what is bulking. You essentially get fat. Intentionally, you're putting on any kind of weight you can get. Obviously, you're going to keep training, and most of it's going to be muscle, but it's not going to be, you're not going to look like that during a bulking phase. So it'll be a couple of weeks, really a couple of months of bulking. You're high carbs, still very high protein, and you're putting on just mass. It's muscle, but it's also fat. And then there's going to be another couple of weeks where you're training more heavily with cardio and you're cutting that back. And that's the cutting phase. And that's when you get what's called contest ready. So, you can be on stage and actually, now, what I used to do, I was never on stage, but fitness modeling. Back right at when fitness modeling was starting to become a thing. And this is like the early mid 90s. You were either a bodybuilder or what those of us in the gay community call a twink. That's the modeling you did. They were either really skinny guys or really big muscle guys. There was no athletic build that we see today that is kind of become almost a prevalent in the modeling industry. And so I never, because I had wanted to maintain readiness for photo shoots, I never bulked then cut. I just took that same amount of time to put weight on more slowly, but it was all automatically lean body mass.
Exactly.
I mean, you're still younger than 30, so I know that's an advantage. But how are you noticing the cutting is getting more difficult as you approach 30 versus what it was like 10 years ago for you? I would imagine probably 10 years ago, bulking was the challenge.
Well, funny story. Like bulking and cutting are pretty hard for me. Like most people are struggling with bulking. I was too. I was at a point I had to eat 6,100 calories to just maintain weight.
Yeah.
Because I actually was working in the construction field, so I was very productive. But once I had to cut down some weights, the first few weeks it was quite doable, but to get ripped, I was struggling as well because, of course, like if you have like almost 6,000 calories to maintain weight, you automatically think like, all right, let me cut down half and I'm gonna lose weight very fast. But that wasn't the case because I wasn't losing any. So I was at the point at the lowest, I even had days between 12 to 1,500 calories just to get into my contest shape because I was at that point already doing too much cardio, because you don't want to do too much cardio because it's going to cost you some muscle mass.
And
So
you can actually almost look sick by getting. There's some guys I've talked to that say you can actually be too ripped.
at some competitions, you got different types of categories, but you can get too ripped for certain categories.
Yeah.
But within the bodybuilding, within the classic physique types, there's no such thing like getting too ripped. But the more ripped you get, the worse you feel.
Yeah.
Like most people think, oh, they look great, but we feel worse.
Right. So that's funny you say that, because I was on a date with a guy one time who was huge, total bodybuilder, and I forget what the question was, but I prefaced it with something to do with, since you're in bodybuilding and you lead a healthy lifestyle, blah, 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 whatever the question was. And he turns and looks at me and says, whatever made you think bodybuilding was healthy? And I'm like, are you nuts? And he says, yeah, no, getting, like you said, getting that lean, I feel like shit. That smile is fake. And I'm like, and that's when and I still want to, I'm still, we're going to the gym today. It's not, to, sign autographs or just do selfies. We're going to work out. But, the fact that COVID kicked my ass, moving here was a struggle. I haven't been to the gym as much in the past, really 2 years. So I want my abs back. But tonight, I'm going to have a glass of rum and not feel bad about it. I know guys that can't even spell rum because they don't come anywhere. Their diet is so strict that they don't go anywhere near anything, even sometimes remotely pleasurable, even to reward themselves, until like after a contest in 4 months from now. And I'm like, I just can't understand the appeal. And he said it was because of low self-esteem. I needed to look good. And now I see guys like you, and obviously we follow each other's social media. I'm like, this dude's got no low self-esteem. He's happy with most of his life. And talking to you today before we came on the air, and now, I'm seeing no signs of like depression or I'm having a bad day. I think the biggest argument or the biggest complaint you had was your car only went so fast or whatever, whatever it was you were texting me on the way here. But I get the difference between. I mean, I see fitness, but have you gotten to a point where you're like, and maybe that's what got you out of it, and you're not competing right now? Have you gotten to a point where I just want a cheeseburger and a nap for the weekend?
Well, this is a funny story because I started, I've been training. My first time at the gym was January 12th, 2012. So I've been training for 11 years right now. And I came in contact with a coach in 2015 who actually introduced me to flexible dieting. And flexible dieting is like you got your calorie intake, you got your protein intake, your carbohydrates, and your fats. And like we always talk about, clean food and stuff, but the body doesn't know the difference between an apple and a pizza. It just sees protein, fats, and carbohydrates. So you can actually lose weight eating whatever you want.
Right.
So I actually, my contest prep always started around December because most of my competitions were in the summer. But those were times I was craving for ice cream. So during my prep to my contest stage, I had ice cream every single day. And I got to a point, I got just below 3% body fat with eating whatever I want.
Wow.
But you gotta be weighing it down because you can't just eat a burger and like act like nothing's happening.
Right.
Especially at McDonald's, they got burgers which holds 40, 50 grams of protein.
Right.
But you gotta be careful with the fats you're taking, and you gotta like look at the rest of the day. Like, all right, maybe I gotta cut some down because I had a burger. As long as you're below calories, you'll fine.
But just under 3%. I mean, you had to be like ready to bite somebody's head off. I mean, that's about as lean as you can get without melting.
Probably the leanest, and I think that was in 2015. Actually, my first contest where I went to the leanest point, and I felt quite well actually, because you got multiple ways to cut down weight. Because of course, within the bodybuilding world, of course, you got the users and the non-users.
Yeah.
And I've been training 11 years naturally, so I didn't have any type of hormones into me. Like, of course, everything went down. But it's like just having to control yourself without having any other substitutions. Like, of course, you got stuff that hypes you up, makes you angry.
Right.
But I don't know.
But at 3%, you felt energetic still?
Oh no, hell no.
Okay.
I felt real exhausted.
Yeah.
But those types are you can only maintain it for 1-2 weeks, and that's about it. Because if you're gonna hold it longer, it can actually cause damage to your body.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Especially the liver and kidneys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So, you talked about how you'd been out of it, but you had mentioned a moment ago that within the next 2 years or so, you're looking to get back into training or back into competition. Is there any part of it that you miss, and is that what's getting you back in, or what is it that? I mean, if you've competed, if you've done well, why not say I climbed that mountain, I put the flag at the top, move on to other shit?
Well, actually, well, of course, I competed. Did I do quite well? Well, I never got first, so
that's the bodybuilding mentality. Is that
exactly?
Yeah.
But
I know that.
The thing I love about bodybuilding is just the posing part, because posing to me is like art.
Yeah,
it's how I can express myself. So I actually managed to, in 2019, that was my last year competing, I actually managed to get the best posing trophy.
Nice.
It's a quite big trophy. But it just felt real good when I just won that trophy, and well, once you win one, you want another one. But it's also just getting into routine, because 2019 was also the last year I trained and had my nutrition on point. And after 2019, the beginning of 2020, it was like, all right, I gotta hold down a bit the training and nutrition part and focus like on my new business, because
I caught the dates, and I was going to ask if one had something to do with the other.
Exactly. That was actually my sacrifice, because I had some improvements to make in my personal life, because for like 8 years, my life was all about training, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I was there. Every single day, I was just looking forward to the gym.
Yep.
And after 2020, when I got introduced to digital marketing and working online, it was like, all right, this is the year I just gotta have the focus on my business, just quit my job. That was my main goal. But that's when COVID hits. So the gyms in Europe especially were closed.
I was going to say, did they close them cold turkey? Because that's what happened to me in LA. I'm in the Los Angeles field office for my work, and the Gold's Gym, where I was training there, closed. My housemate was one of the trainers, so now he's unemployed. And I'm like, don't worry, we'll be able to go to my office, and we'll still be able to train there. And the special aid, then we all got sent home. We weren't allowed to come to the office unless it was a protection assignment or some high-level investigation. And we had to file evidence, because we can't keep that at home ever. That's like, you see in the news right now, Trump got busted for it, Pence got busted for it, Biden's getting busted. They all have classified information. And that's what makes me crazy is that anything that the president or the vice president reads, it's all classified. You're not going to have anything for them that's not going to be classified on some level. I mean, maybe it's just confidential, which is kind of minor, but point being is that I thought I was going to be able to go to the gym, a really nice gym that we had at still have at the Los Angeles field office, and the special agent in charge said, if we can't come to work, you can't come to work out. And it made sense because we're trying to fight a pandemic that we ultimately know nothing about. And so, he made a point, and I'm like, shit, now what am I going to do? Well, that's when fitness equipment went flying off the shelves. I mean, dumbbells were 3 times what they were
The prices
6 months
went
earlier.
really high.
And, I saw a guy, there's a guy I knew who was a local, like, box dancer, go-go boy type. He had these shoes that he would wear that were springs. And they were kind of weighted, but they were also kind of, they were springs. And so he's running up and down the street in like these really springy shoes, and running in them takes more energy, but it actually gives you a boost. But then trying to stop that shit when you're running faster than what you're used to running, and each stride is almost twice as far as what you're used to running, stopping takes a lot of energy too. And within like 2 or 3 months, his legs just ballooned. But everybody started working out on some level from home. And then we got all kinds of protection because Kamala Harris and the Trump Treasury Secretary lived in our district. So I was with him a lot. And one of Trump's security advisors got extended also for protection beyond the election. So Trump wasn't in office anymore, but we're still protecting 2 of his, high-level people, plus now the sitting vice president, because she lives in L.A. And I'm never home to train at home. So you're talking about, like life changes, and, some of this shit just got forced on us that it's not like it's time to change up the workout. It's like you got to figure out how to work out.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm getting to that because of the correlation, I think, with some of the trading. You're following a certain strategy. My first year, like I told you earlier, I had a really successful first year. And it was mostly all in trading cryptos. Now cryptos are stagnant. I hear about so many people who do nothing but one type of market. Forex, indices, cryptos, whatever. What do you do when the world changes and your specialty is no longer productive? Have you ever experienced that? Like, what is it that you predominantly trade, or do you already, kind of run the gamut?
Well, the fun thing what I did is I actually focus on a strategy that covers everything. So I started off with Forex trading and just using my strategy on Forex. But every market moves the same way. They either go up or down. So there's not much of a difference there. Obviously, they are moving with multiple reasons, but it's all based on mostly the dollar.
Right.
So if you can just figure out what the dollar is gonna do, you can actually position yourself in each market. But if you're only, let's say you're used to just trading on crypto, and let's say you're trading or investing, because those are 2 types as well, it's mostly patience But you can try your strategy. It depends how you're trading on crypto. But you should just try to use it on a different market as well. Because 9 out of 10 times, it will work on another market as well.
Yeah, I do. I I got started when we were talking about how we both came into IML before we came on the air. I was with that first team that had that cocktail party that one summer Sunday, and I saw everybody, doing this Sunday afternoon trading of Bitcoin and making, each hundreds of dollars at least each. Told you about the guy that made $5,000 in one trade, and the guys that had the first recruited me. Now I'm on Team Engels and couldn't be happier. He's been great, but the guy that first recruited me into IML was huge into Forex and what is the one hyper DeLorean, the DeLorean strategy. And so I remember one night I'm hosting a Zoom call on his team and some of our other team members, and they're all doing. I didn't pay for DeLorean, so I didn't have the access to that. But they're sharing screens, and I'm coordinating it through my Zoom account, which allowed for longer than an hour and whatever else. And they're making like $2-3 a trade, and the one guy finally made a $5 profit on a trade, and he was ecstatic. I had one Bitcoin trade during that entire call. I made more than everybody. And I was done with the trade about halfway through the call. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Look around. There's more than just this one thing.
True.
And now I look up those members. None of them are trading anymore. They're all gone. The guy that recruited me is now trying to sell solar equipment through Los Angeles. Another one of the members is actually successful in selling solar equipment, also in LA. But none of them are trading. And I'm like, guys, this is not a sprint. This is about developing longevity. You and I were talking about quotes from Warren Buffett, before we came on. Jeff Bezos once asked him, he said, Warren, if your strategy is so simple and successful, why aren't more people following it? And he said, because nobody wants to get rich slowly.
That's a huge fact as well.
And that's what I've tried to teach through the different shows or different episodes, and what we'll definitely be doing through the education. Put it against this. You guys can't see because the camera's too zoomed in, but he's got his phone. He's trying to simulcast here on some other network or something with his iPhone. That's what I teach in help trying to people, and I think IML is kind of sort of the same way, and it seems like our team is. With financial freedom, we talked about, like, do you want to be the millionaires that drive the nice cars and at least say they live in the nice houses, because we talked about that guy too, or really, what do you want to do? And in my first year, I did well. I knew that was an exception, and I wasn't expecting that in year two. In fact, year two was this past year. I took it off. Largely because I could, but when you talked about like the life influences, I had other shit that I had to get done. I moved across the country. I adopted a son. I bought the 2 jet skis that are outside, so I had some riding to do. But defining financial freedom, I'd say first set a realistic goal. Do you want to just save money now to have a better Christmas this year than you did last year? Or do you want to make enough money each month that it helps to cover your car payment? And that's money that's now not coming from the salary of your big job. But you had said also, if you treat it like a side hustle, it's going to pay you like a side hustle.
Exactly.
How do you recommend somebody, because the biggest problem I've had, I know, and that's why I'm doing this. I know what that first year was like. I still remember. I'm still benefiting from it. We're sitting in it. How do you convince somebody to have the patience, because you're not going to get paid out right away and you need to educate yourself, and that's going to take time? How do you convince them that, yes, this is worth it? Yes, this can be right for you? And do you ever tell anybody no? Do you ever say, you know what, this ain't for you, don't do it?
Actually, I do, because most people are just starting off with looking for a quick fix. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm just looking to make some money fast. And I think trading is it, but I always tell every single one, if you can't give yourself at least 6, 12, 18 months, I don't want you to start. Because it's going to take you at least 6 months in order to see some progress, some profits. And even then, you're not done learning yet, because
Right.
I'm trading now for 3 years and I'm still a student. I'm still learning.
Yeah, 100%.
And
you're working. Yeah, I remember from some of the calls we've all been on. You're working to become an educator with IML as well, right?
that's the goal eventually, yes. So it's all about long-term vision, because whoever wants to trade, like if they're looking to make a couple grand in their first year, it is possible, but it can be a goal. Because a lot of people, and I think that's the biggest mistakes a lot of traders are making, is setting goals within trading.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but if you're gonna set up goals in percentage wise, in money wise, it will lead to dissatisfaction, because you'll never gonna achieve those goals.
I think once you get on some of the different levels, we'll bust on Coach. I call him Coach Nick because he's my coach. But
Shout out to Nick.
I think somebody like Nick Engels can budget for a certain amount each month to come from trading profits, because, and I think you and I are getting there too, because we've got the experience. We know what we can do. We've been in sound strategies for X amount of time, and we see a pattern in our own market, our own trading schedule, our own trading strategy, our own trade logs, and so on. But yeah, I think the mistake that people make, they see our social media, and that's why my lifestyle series is more modest, because, and intentionally, because it's successful. I'm standing out on a seawall looking out over an ocean, a small ocean, the Gulf of Mexico. I'm getting my photos taken from my jet ski out in the middle of that Gulf of Mexico. And I'm at the gym in the middle of the day when other people are working. But I'm not in that big house on the hill thing. Someday, maybe. If that never happens, I don't give a shit, because this house rocks. This modest 3-bed, 2-bath is happy. But I think some people that have come to me asking if I can teach them trading, and of course I want to help, but I think it's like their other first paycheck from their job. They might not get a paycheck in the first pay period because the HR people are still processing their information. But within a month, they expect to get their paycheck. You got a lottery ticket? You got a better chance there.
True.
This takes time. And I don't think people realize when they see, and that's something that I want to start, putting out as well, is that, I really like the comment that you made on your social media about, the side hustle versus full-time job. I wouldn't expect somebody that would join my team to quit their job, live off savings for a year and a half, to learn day trading. I would tell them that's stupid. Don't do that.
True.
But let it be a side hustle at first. And I heard, I don't remember if it was Patrick Kenny or one of the other, social media lights that I follow, talked about the pitfalls of having multiple streams of income. And it would be the whole concept of jack of all trades, master of none. You're now into a point where you've got multiple streams. You're across the Atlantic, across the pond, as our Brit friends say, and you're coming back in another couple of weeks. So obviously you're doing well enough. Let's go back to the time management. At what point do you say you're ready to go from that first job that you had, the first online job that you had, and now you can squeeze learning day trading into it and still hit the gym, still hit whatever social scene is your circle, and so on?
Well, it starts with time management. What I actually did, it's funny that you mentioned it, but because I was that guy that quits his job way too soon and lived off his
I caught you say that. Yeah.
savings the entire year. But I also blew my savings in the first month as well.
Yeah.
Because I thought, all right, I got this. I copied some trades, went well. Let me put some more money on it. And that educator at the time, he knows who he is. You know too. He had a 3-month, 100% accuracy. So I thought, like, he's doing pretty well. So I put in my some figures of my savings onto my trading account, and I was like, let me just try one of his trades that sets me up for the next couple of months so I can relax. And that was actually the first trade, like,
that his went bad?
That went bad, and I managed to get in that trade. But if you're starting with, you got your job, your online business, and you want to squeeze in the gym, trading, I always tell my students, like, if you got at least an hour a day,
yeah,
and whenever that suits you, it doesn't matter if it's before work, after work, midnight, whenever you can squeeze it in, squeeze it in. But you got to have your morning routine, you got to have your evening routine. If you got a job, your job routine, and just figure out which hours are you free.
Right,
and
exactly.
And then just list everything from 1 to how many priorities you have. And let's say trading is the number 1 priority. Put that in your schedule first.
Right.
The second one is gym. Gym goes second. And at the end of the day, you'll see, like, all right, the hours are filled. What do I have left? And that's something you'll have to sacrifice for a while, because it comes with sacrifices.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I would say, when that hour is up, put it away.
Exactly.
And speaking of never being up, I don't know why I had that alert on, but along that same line, I used to be in one of my aspirations was professional hockey. It didn't work out. I'm fine. Had another cool life in professional baseball, and then also professional law enforcement. But one of the guys I knew who was a referee in the National Hockey League, I asked him one time if he ever spent any time during the off season officiating men's leagues in his local town over the summer leagues, the practice leagues, they called them. He said no. He said, at the end of the summer, I want something to look forward to. I want the hockey season to come back. Tomorrow, you want that time sitting down and learning from IML or whatever your whatever your educational platform is, Doggy Traders. You want that. You want to be excited for it.
Exactly.
And I've seen it. I've done it. I've made the mistake myself. I've spent so much time doing the one, I didn't get to the gym. And then you get in the habit of spending so much time doing the one, and you stop going to the gym. And then one day, you bend over to tie your shoes, and you can't make it. I'll never forget. I was sitting right out here in the sofa. I struggled to tie my shoes. Yeah, I became a fat ass, and fortunately, some of it's going away, but I'm still not where I want to be. And that's why, I don't know if you saw it, but right aside of the garage door in the kitchen, and that one sitting on a stool is a small whiteboard. Did I just lose? Can you hear me okay? Check 1 2. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I just thought I lost. I thought I lost sound for a second. There's a small whiteboard that actually has our schedule on it for the day, and that worked great until the kid went and got a job. Now he works, different days a week, and so we got to adjust accordingly. But yeah, sticking to a schedule, putting together a schedule that makes sense. One of the things I wanted to do was get up every day much earlier than what my son and I had been accustomed to. That doesn't happen tomorrow. That's a process. Getting up earlier every day is a process, and I'm getting into it. I've been up since like 7:30 this morning, and I'm looking to go to bed earlier instead of staying up. The kid's a gamer, and God love him, he's good at it too. That's his. If you guys can see, that's his setup behind us. But I wanting to have some father-son time. I stay up with him. The honeymoon's over. The kid's got to be able. I got to trust him to be up by himself. Dad's got to go to bed. But I think one of the things I'm really looking forward to, because I've seen it already, is bringing some of those other activities back. Not just getting into the gym, doing the AM walks. Usually one of the first things I do in the morning is, I go for a walk, and Nick talks about mindset. Another shout out to Coach Nick and his Mindset Mondays. Every Monday, let me see if I can get the time right for Central European.
5 p.m. Central European,
yeah,
right?
5 p.m. Central European, 11 p.m.
11
Eastern.
there,
yeah, on IML. And I didn't trade all this past week because this one was sick. Moby was sick, and then yesterday Matrix threw up a few times. He has a kind of a digestive issue, and I was a wreck, especially for him. With Moby being 12 years old, as a breed, that's 8 to 10 life expectancy. He's already an old man, and I just felt this was the beginning of the end. Now he's back to sleeping wherever he's at, and but with everything, how often does something in your e-commerce negatively affect you, that it just has that snowball effect, and you got to say, all right, I'm having a bad day with one, it's going to cause a bad day for another, and you got to say, today's not a good day to trade because I'm already pissed off.
So the exact question is?
So if Nick talks about mindset,
Yeah.
and doing some routine things, like he takes cold showers. Oh, I just can't. But cold showers, waking up and finishing a glass of water right away to flush and so on. Some of it, to me, makes a lot of sense. And the cold shower makes sense. I just, can't do it.
Me neither.
Those ice bucket challenges, no way. But he also talks about, if you're like, he's been sick, for a couple of weeks. If you're in a space where things have negatively affected you, that's not a good time to get into markets.
Oh, definitely.
Because you're in a mindset that is not right to make intelligent decisions. So question is, with your other streams of income or training, working out, if you've had a bad day and now it's time to, wake up the next day to get before, trade before the New York Open, or actually for you, that would be, middle of the day. But if you're okay, so there you go. If it's the middle of the day, you've had a bad morning, but New York's about to open, and you want to get in that hour before the New York Open, but you're pissed at the world. How do you manage that? How do you walk away when you know you're not in the right mindset, but you saw positive news that could affect the markets that give you an opportunity?
Well, I've got a kind of a routine when I'm going to trade, because especially right now with my strategy is like I'm more of the swing trader right now, so I don't have to be on the charts, because especially when you're chasing trades, whatever you chase, it runs. If either you chase a dog, you chase a chicken, you chase crypto, you chase money, it will run. But whenever I have a bad day, I just figure out and find things that calms me down. For me, it's the gym.
Yeah.
So usually I go on the charts after I went work out.
Nice.
So I want to hit the gym first. Before
Are you a morning guy, or what's your usual gym?
I'm getting to the morning. I used to I had to train at a lot of time differences. Sometimes I train at 4 a.m. I used to train back in the days at 5 p.m. Lately, it's around 10, 11 a.m. That's the sweet spot for me. So I actually skip, because at 9 a.m. we got the London exchange as well.
Right.
But I skipped those ones until...
And when you say 9 a.m., you're talking about back in Europe, 9 a.m. Central European
Back in
time.
Europe, 9 a.m. we got the London, so that's 3 a.m.
Yeah,
in
right.
here.
Yes.
So I skipped a London session because I need to hit the gym first to calm my mind before I actually go on the charts. So what I suggest to everyone who is struggling with mindset, like, find something that calms your mind. And if you feel like you're on the charts with a lot of stress, just stay off, because you will never hit a good trade when you're stressed. Like, if Netflix calms you, just watch Netflix before you trade.
Right.
If meditation helps you, if a walk helps you, do the things that calms you, and it's different for every person. So whenever I have a bad day, and let's say I trained and something bad happened after, I just don't go on the charts.
Yeah.
Because back in the days, I forced myself on the charts. But at the end of the day, I was in a negative balance, because I was just searching for trades. Like, was it with a clear state of mind? So I really had to learn myself. Like,
what is the saying? Trade the market, don't let it trade you, or something like that.
Yeah, well, we got the Dutch saying, but
it's kind of an issue of like semantics too. But basically, I think what they're saying is, if the trade setup is there, like you said, don't chase it. If it's there, then take it. Don't force it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the market, it will beat you down. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
You will never win of the big guys. So you really want to wait until the market does exactly what you want. Because if it doesn't do what you want, you'll end up in a loss.
Right. So there's 4 time frames, actually 5. One is like right out here. Canals like this is called a no wake zone. You can't go clowning around with a boat or a jet ski. You can't make waves. There's a no trade zone that one of the other guys that I follow says Eastern time, 4 p, an hour before the New York close, until 7 p.m., 2 hours after it's closed, and essentially has settled down. But then there's also 4 other periods that he really likes. In order of preference, his first one was right before the New York Open, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then the second one, 2 p to 3 p, because the morning has settled down. And I got a specific question I want to hear your opinion about in a second. But then the third zone is 10 a to 11. That one is probably the most volatile because it has not settled down yet and is not really decided what direction the markets are going to go for the day, but also the opportunity for the biggest gains for that same reason. And then lastly, 8p to 9p, and that's really only if there's news in the Asian markets, which are opening for the next day. So back to the 2 to 3 in the afternoon. I've noticed that when I have a good morning, I make the mistake of coming back in the afternoon in that same window for a good afternoon. And I lose what I've made in the morning plus. Remember when we were talking about the bald eagles that were down on the corner? A neighbor of mine who follows me on Facebook drove by and stopped and pulled over, and we had a conversation. His screen name is Dr. Outboard because he's retired from his other jobs, and now he learned how to fix outboard motors in boats. His initial career was a professional trader. And I don't mean you and me sitting in front of our computers. This guy was on the floor in New York and in Chicago, because contrary to popular belief, New York is not the only American stock exchange. There's one in Philadelphia, Chicago, and a couple other cities. They're just not, nationally broadcast like the New York exchange is. He's been a professional trader, and like I said, has been on the cover of Forbes magazine. And his first name's John. He was known as Part-Time Johnny because he would come in the morning, kick ass, and go home. He would leave. And his advice is, why lose the money in the afternoon that you made in the morning? And I'm seeing that same thing kind of sort of happening to me on plenty of occasions. I'm wondering if you see the same thing. I mean, I know you got to kind of do the math and translate it to, but I mean, maybe is it the same situation in the London market? And is there a period of the day where you're like, no, everybody else is out there, like I don't go drinking on New Year's Eve because that's amateur hour. That's when all the kids go out and I stay home. Is there a New Year's Eve for you during the course of the day? Is there a no wake zone during the day that's a no trade zone because of the activity by probably the bigger traders in other markets that it's just too dangerous?
Good one. I like a bit danger because actually I see opportunity, but like the no trade zone for me will be, let me calculate it back to.
Well, you can use local time too if you're used to Central European.
I don't trade between, and this is European Central Time, between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Okay.
Because those are like minus 6 hours.
And guess what 10 p.m. is? 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, that's actually
so instead of 4 to 7, you're 4 to 8.
Yeah, and the times I actually like the trade is the New York Stock Exchange Open.
Yeah,
which is at 3:30 p.m. in Central Europe, so minus 6 for here.
So that's 30 minutes after it's opened. That would be 9:30 here.
Oh, that's the opening, actually.
Yeah. So one of the windows, this other guy named Dr. Mike, Wake Trader is his name. He likes 8 a.m., an hour before, because there's still other markets, trading. Sure. He likes 8 a.m. before the New York Open up until 9 a.m. You're saying after it opens, then get started.
Well, you got the New York Open. You also got the Stock Exchange, which opens at 3:30. So
yeah,
I trade the indices like NASDAQ, like Dow Jones, like those are
sure
kind of my favorites, and they open 90 minutes after the New York opens.
Okay.
So those are actually the times I like to trade. But I always, when I wake up, I don't trade, but I do check the markets at the London Exchange. Like, all right, what does it look like for today? Like, do I see opportunities? And if I see opportunities, I just set my alerts.
Right.
And whenever the alert it goes off, I go behind my laptop. But if I don't get an alert, I'm free of the day. Um, so for me, it's just mostly patience, like just setting up my alerts in the morning at the London. And if I see a possible opportunity, if it's the London or the New York Open, I just wait for my alarm actually to go off,
Right.
and that's what's gonna get me behind the charts. Because if I don't get an alert, I'm good. Sometimes it can be at 2 p.m. Sometimes it can be 4, 6, 7. Uh, as long as it's not between my no trade window,
Right.
I'm good to go.
Right. So get back to some of the beginning then, because you actually just mentioned some things that triggered something else I wanted to hit on earlier and forgot to. You started trading. Now it's time to pick a broker. What was that like? And I know that's sometimes personal, that you don't want to say who that is. That's fine, but did you go with a bunch of different options? Did you look at a bunch of different options, or did you pretty much just go with who your buddies were doing?
I just pretty much went with the first one actually our coach introduced me to. Like, a lot of people were just at this broker, and at the time I was like, all right, what's a broker? Just all right, just let me figure it out. So I just went to the first one they told me, and I'm still with them as today.
Yeah.
And so far, I've got a good relationship with them, no issues. Whenever I do a withdrawal, I'll get it the next day.
Yeah, same here.
Sometimes it takes a bit longer because the withdrawals are maybe a bit bigger. But usually I get my withdrawals in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Nice.
And because you also got brokers where like you can only withdraw a certain percentage.
Right.
Like if you go over it, they'll maybe close your account or things. But I just stick with the first one, and still to this day, like, of course you want to do some research, but it's not the biggest thing.
Right. Right. So, what are the laws like in Europe? Like, what kind of leverage can you have? Because here, a broker can only offer no more than 50-to-1 leverage.
Then I got a pretty good broker.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not using an American broker. So everybody says, "Well, ain't I breaking the law?" Like, no, I'm not the one offering the leverage. The broker is. Because my broker's in another country, they're not breaking their law. What I have to do is document, what my profits are, and still pay taxes on every dollar of those profits, because I'm the one taking the risk. The reason for the 50-to-1 limit is basically consumer protection. They don't want to lure us into something that we can't handle. But after that, what are you finding for your broker? What is their level of customer service? You said you didn't have any issue with withdrawals. What about, like, there was a period I needed a pretty extensive trade log that I didn't properly manage on my own end. It took like 3 months to get that. Is customer service for that, or any other type of customer service, has that ever been an issue? Or is your broker actually pretty good? Should somebody hit you up later online to find out who it is if they want it? What kind of representation does your broker actually give you? You said you had a decent enough relationship, but is there a person there at the brokerage that you call every time? Or is it just the live chat that's offered through the app?
Well, it's mostly the live chat. Like, they're always pretty responsive, and I just get a trade log every single day in my mail.
Yeah.
So I can see
nice.
what I did that day, if I took any trades, how far in their profit and loss. So I can just put the mail in my trade log, which they send a daily one, and every Sunday when obviously the markets opens again, it will send me a trade log of the past week as well.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So logging has never been easier for me that way.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of one of the downsides to being one of the offshores is that they care about getting our American money, and that's pretty much it. But that's actually pretty cool.
And we also you start off with a 30-1 at our broker, but I actually managed. And whenever people join it, they're still struggling. But I got a 500-1.
Nice.
And like when I tell people, "Oh, my broker has this leverage, and you can use this," and they're like, "Yeah, but they're not giving me." So I think I started at a good point, because now you need to show some proof, like you're a good trader,
right,
in order to get to the 500-1. Because
nice.
Of course they want a consumer protection. But so far, I don't think like a 30-1, a 50-1 is a bad thing. It just prevents you from failing big time, because I started off with a big leverage as well, but that was the reason I was able to blow up my account.
Right.
Like if they put me on the 30-1, I could never blow my account.
Right.
So it's just the way you see it.
The bigger leverage, you can win fast, but you can lose just as fast.
Exactly.
You can lose faster.
And you always, you don't want to look with trading like how much can I gain from this trade. You always want to have the mindset of how much can I lose of this trade.
Yeah, so you had said earlier, that's not what I wanted to do. That's bad. Sorry, there we go. What are the dates for Rotterdam? Isn't that the next?
Yeah, it's March 16th till the 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
And you're going to be at that?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get the kid and me to. In that same window, I don't know if it's the same weekend, but pretty close to that is Orlando.
Orlando, yeah.
Which is only. We'll put that plug up there, cover me up. But Rotterdam, March 16th to the 19th. You can see Reggie Romano there. Someday, hopefully, as an educator, we're going to wrap up and head to the gym soon, I think. What do we got? It's like afternoon, it's 12. It's noon. So Reggie Romano, first ever in-studio guest here at the Doggy Traders. Thanks, brother. It's been very cool. Awesome hour of conversation.
It's an absolute honor.
And we'll definitely have you, even if virtual. Make that a regular thing too. Now we just got to get on some of the other team members. Those of you still with us, let's also. There we go. Hit me up. We want to continue with the series of talking with. We've had Lars on already. Now we've had Reggie. We want to continue with the series of hearing your story. What got you into trading? There's the selfie. There it is. Also, you keep the link.
Go on the gram.
This will be, by the way, I got to do all that too. But so we want to hear all of your stories as well. Hit me up. The address is going across the bottom. I think we all know when Rotterdam's going to be. But here's where you can get us. Anywhere you want to be, look at those four corners. It's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Twitter, and then, of course, YouTube across the bottom. That's where you can get all the Doggy Traders episodes and as our educational series, our lifestyle series. If you think you're doing something wrong, check that out, and you might be just like everybody else. Then we're also on Instagram and TikTok, anywhere you want to be, at Doggy Traders. This is going to cover him up, but... boom, there he is. He's gone. That was Craft Life Brewery. We're going to start a bar tour where every happy hour we're going to do at some of the local breweries. Let's see if I can do it this way. Oh, yeah, but there's nothing up, so, oh well. We're going to start a bar tour, and what you just saw was Craft Life Brewery. Right now, we're going to head to the House of the Mouse, Monster Mouse Fitness, Make Sense of Investing. Edward Jones helps us with our profits. My CPA is Joe Susi, right down in St. Pete. This beast of a machine was built by Tim's Custom Computers. And there you go. There's some artwork. Look at, where did you get that? Was that one of the apps?
This is the app.
Yeah.
Like I took about 150 pictures, and that was the only one that came out nicely. The other, like, they messed up my face pretty bad.
Yeah, that one actually looked good. That I like that. But yeah, so Reggie Romano, thanks, buddy, and we'll definitely stay in touch. Do this again.
Amen.
All right. Again, we'll be on, what is today, Friday? So yeah, that means there's an episode later this evening. We'll see you again. We're never really at the actual time, so around roughly 9 p. To 9:30 p. Eastern time, 6:30, somewhere around there, Pacific, and God knows what that translates into Asian, because we're doing the Nikkei market now too. But middle of the night for our European friends. Sorry about that. But definitely follow us the next morning. Until then, trade crazy, trade safe. See you again. Thanks, everybody.